Someone says, what's the future? Vaughn Coleman.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. How you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to our 70th episode of Vaughn Coleman Presents. Sorry we're so late. Listen, I can never keep up with your name, but Skibbity Rizzler might be one of my favorites. You know how to appeal to the youngins. I don't know what Skibbity means, though, by the way. Dan Frega at HeroesCon was asking me if I was hip with the kids. He was like, are you say Skibbity? I was like, no, but I do say Riz. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. Ryan's great. I met him actually for the first time at Garden State Comic Fest. Before we talk about him, let's just, we'll talk about me for a little bit. All right, I'm kind of cool. So my comic book, Phenomenova, it has been on Fun My Comic for a while, and on July 2nd, because even though I'm getting the cover in on July 1st, I want a day to make sure I have all the graphics done and everything. Phenomenova is going to be launching on Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and also I will be adding this final variant cover as an add-on for Fun My Comic, because if you guys back first, if you want to just keep it on that platform, perfectly fine. But the final cover will be done by Buzz, so keep an eye out for that. If your platform of choice is Indiegogo or Kickstarter, it'll launch on there as well. So there we go. And, looking forward to Phenomenova, aren't we all? And without further ado, let's bring in Brian. How's it going?
It's going well, sir. What's up, young buck?
Nothing much. You got Six Gun Gorilla just launched. And,
yeah.
What do we got? Let's see. So Six Gun Gorilla, or I guess, yeah, we'll get into it. But I remember, I have it. Oh, I didn't get you to sign my CG vacation. Oh, well. Also, I was being social at the time of that event, so that could be.
You were being social, and you were also going from beer to liquor, never sicker.
Yeah, well, actually, I got okay. It was some of my friends I had to worry about.
Yeah, because I remember me and Graham Nolan, we were just like, I was like, tell this young man, like, because we've been there, and I thought for sure it's just like. Vaughn's going to be worshipping the porcelain god if we don't pull like an intervention of some kind.
See, it's funny is a lot of people were projecting that.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen last year. Because last year what happened was someone gave me a thing of bourbon and I go, oh, thanks. And then I took it like a shot and this couple who gave it to me, they're like, what did you do? I'm like, what do you mean? And they were like, that was not a shot. That was you just, and I'm like, oh, okay. So this year before the event, like, Vaughn, you got to be careful. It was really funny. It's great seeing. It was a lot of the same people. Last year, some new ones too. There's a lot of. It was really fun.
It was very cool. It was very cool.
Yeah. So, Six Gun Gorilla, I know just launched on Bancroft's stream.
Yes.
And you launched on Fun My Comic, a fellow man of culture. I see these are great, but I wanted to. So this is obviously not your first book, but before we get into the story and all of that, I always like to ask, what got you started in comics?
Oh wow! I got started in comics, as a toddler. I had an older brother, 6 years my senior, and I was growing up in the 70s. And my brother's comics I inherited. And some of my earliest memories, my very earliest memories, are of reading comic books. And I, in sixth grade, I had a college level vocabulary. Not because I was some prodigy or some genius or something like that. No. It's because when I sat down to read my comics, I always had a dictionary right next to me. And if, Reed Richards or Dr. Doom or Tony Stark or Doctor Strange used a word that I didn't understand, I would look it up quick because what they were saying was important to me.
Yeah.
And I needed to know, what the hell did Dr. Doom just say?
Mm-hmm.
And so I started making my own comic books. As a matter of fact, I don't have it handy, but I recently went through a bunch of old stuff that my mom saved, and my very first comic book was in that pile. Typing papers.
Oh, looks like we lost them, right? Is that just me? Or I think we lost them, right? Am I going crazy? Because yesterday,
did you lose me or did I lose you?
I'm consulting the live stream because that's the thing. It looks like it's you.
We're back. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Because the reason I'm saying that is because yesterday the person had technical difficulties, and I'm like, I'm the common denominator. So I'm like wondering, am I going crazy? Am I being gaslit? But yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I've been making comics since I was a little kid, and I discovered in high school that as much as I tried, I couldn't draw them worth a damn, and so any honest comic book writer will tell you the reason why we write comics is because we can't draw them.
Mm-mm. So I guess I'm not, because I guess that's true, but I also never tried to draw. Is the thing.
Well, I mean, it's true for me because I tried. And while becoming an artist requires a great deal of hard work and practice, I do think that you do need some certain baseline ability, certain baseline talent. And I didn't have that. And so I thought, well, let me focus on writing. And I've been writing comic book scripts for a long time and discovered that as opposed to other forms of writing, that is to say, plays, screenplays, novels, short stories, prose, that writing comics is actually the hardest of the bunch because you're basically telling a story in snapshots.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very much a visual medium, and that's why I try to use as few words as possible in my comics. I try to make my comics so that if you can't read or if you can't read English, you could still go through my comic, and just from looking at the illustrations, you could still follow the story. That's very important to me, is to know when to step back as a writer and not to showboat.
Right.
Because showboating, showing everybody, well, what a talented writer you are, showing everybody your wonderful vocabulary, that just reeks of amateurism. And so, yeah, I started Six Gun Gorilla, 12 years ago. And so this is going to be the culmination of 12 years of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. Jack Kirby said, "Comics will break you hot, kid." And he was right. There's been a lot of heartbreak, but there's also been a lot of joy. And the really great joy has been the fact that people actually connect with this book. We put our work out there. We don't know if it's going to click with people or not. And I mean, I can't find anybody that doesn't like this comic. And to hear people telling me, like, oh, that last issue, like it literally brought tears to my eyes. I've had people tell me that my silly Gorilla Gunslinger comic has moved them to tears.
That's good.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been great. And at the party at the con the other week, I had people coming up to me and telling me like, "Oh, you're the Six Gun Gorilla guy. Oh yeah, no, I love that comic. Yeah, no, it's awesome." And that's just,
I think someone grabbed my copy, by the way, because I went back.
I heard about that, son.
I'm sorry about that. I'll have to buy another one off you.
I'll hook you up. Don't
worry.
There you
go.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right.
That's good. Yeah, I was looking forward because I remember I was seeing this. It's such an interesting concept. Six Gun Gorilla. I have a question for her. First of all, moving people to tears. I was about to say with a gorilla as her, but then I realized that I mean, I guess at the end of the day, no matter what genre you're telling it, it's storytelling, right? And I mean, I can't think. I feel like if anything, it's almost like animal characters dying or whatever the case may be are some of the most effective ones. I mean, Bambi's mom, Mufasa, God. I mean, I feel like often in a story, I'd rather have the human companions die than the animal companions. I'm like, I don't know. There's something about it where it's just, I don't know. But I wonder. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, bro.
So when it came to Six Gun Gorilla, you were independent to start with?
Oh yeah, I've never worked for the majors. Most of my early comic book scripts, I'm very happy to say, no, will never see the light of day. Right? This is why I have sympathy for people that are just starting out and they're literally putting out like their very first comic.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Thank God I didn't publish some of my earlier drafts.
Right? Yeah. Yes. That's I've real compassion for those folks. And I think that, I mean, you'd be surprised, for instance, with novelists, how many first novels famous novelists have written, right? And so I've written many first comics. And I mean, Six Gun Gorilla is actually a public domain character.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The way I discovered Six Gun, I mean, really obscure, super obscure. I was on a website for Golden Age and Pulp heroes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking down this list because, I mean, I consider myself a pulp writer. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at this list. I'm going down the list, and there's like a billion characters, and I see one that says Six Gun Gorilla. I'm like, what? It set off a firecracker in my head because I've always been a fan of Great Apes, huge fan of King Kong, Mighty Joe Young, and also of Westerns. If you look at my DVD Blu-ray collection, you will see a lot of horror movies, a lot of kung fu movies, a lot of Westerns. And I was like, I have to read this. And so I did my research and discovered it had been out of print. Not only had it been out of print, it's been out of print for...
What, like 70 years?
More than that, right? I think it was 1939.
So they never reprinted Six Gun
Gorilla? It was never reprinted. And there are 2 copies left in existence, right?
Are they up in value now?
They're in a museum in London under lock and key. And there is a pulp scholar who went there and said, hey, this is after, my comic comes out, goes there and says, hey, is it cool if I scan these and then I can put it online as a free PDF, which he did. But I was working just from the title.
Okay, I was going to say, I was wondering how you would even be able to. So it was like almost like lost, would have been lost to time had they not done that. So how many comics have been lost to time? A lot. I mean, I know most film, isn't it like the majority of early films are lost to time?
Yes. For the most part, I don't think that's that great of a tragedy, because if you look at really early cinema, it's basically, the cameras were gigantic. They couldn't move around a lot. So they look like plays that are being filmed. It wasn't until like the 1920s, of course, with the rise of German and Russian silent cinema, that the language, the visual vocabulary of cinema was created. But there's a lot of lost films. Their movies are still turning up. London After Midnight is probably the most famous, with Lon Chaney, the original Lon Chaney. I mean, here's the thing about pulps, right? You're talking about the reason they were called pulps was because they were printed on pulp paper, which was cheap.
Right.
And so what you would do is and comics were like this later too. You would read, they were designed so you could read them and throw them away like a newspaper, right? And that's why those early comic books are so valuable is because they're very scarce. Pulps, of course, the people that collect pulps are really screwed because, I remember as a kid being at a creation convention in New York City. This is before you had proper Comic Cons and that sort of a thing. They were all combination conventions, like Star Trek / Doctor Who / comics /
which is kind of what they are again, almost.
Yes. Well, now it's just like anime, video games.
Oh, and then kind of comics are like a little
kind of maybe.
There's stuff in the basement,
Yeah. Like all the way off in that dirty old corner back there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the movie stars from the comic movies, they're up the front.
Yes.
The guy who created that character down in the basement.
Exactly. Yep. And to a certain degree, that's one of the things that attracted me to comics was that they were illicit, right? Comic books have always been considered in America to be an art form, really, that's the most despised. I would say that in America, traditionally, comic books have been one step above pornography, right? Nowadays, you tell people that you make comic books, they're like, oh, because of the movies.
Yeah, I think video games have taken that spot now.
Oh, yes. And most of the movies are going to be, yes. Most of the movies are going to be based on video game properties now. Whatever. Mm-hmm. So pulp literature was considered literally disposable literature. And yet it gave us some incredible stuff. What up, Hojo?
Yeah,
it gave us some incredible stuff. It gave us Robert E. Howard. It gave us the Conan stories, Solomon Kane, King Cole. It gave us, my God, Edgar Rice Burroughs, Tarzan. And ultimately, the way I approached Six Gun Gorilla was and I'm shocked at how few people get this. Basically, it's Tarzan in reverse. Instead of a human that's being raised in the jungle by apes, it's about an ape that's being raised by humans in the Old West.
That's so cool. Yeah, I'm already.
People miss that. I'm like, it's so obvious too, but but it also means that I did my job. That I wanted the story to be big. I wanted it to be mythic. Stories never appear whole cloth in my head, right? Mm-hmm. That day when I discovered that there was a pulp story called Six Gun Gorilla, and then that I couldn't write, that I wouldn't be able to read it because it was, there were like, it had been out of print and there were 2 copies that were both under lock and key in a museum in London. I decided, let me drown my sorrows in my favorite junk food, which is fish and chips, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm driving to the fish and chips joint, and I have the soundtrack to this cheesy, wonderful old sword and sorcery movie from the 1980s called Hawk the Slayer. Mm-hmm. And so I'm listening to that, and I'm flying down the road, and the whole story just builds itself in my head. And by the time I park, I have like the whole thing. That never happens.
It's very hard. I love those days where I remember I had one really good writing day. And to this day, I don't think I've ever written anything from it on paper. I was, in fact, literally looking at this art. I'm still paying attention to what we're talking about, listening to this art because there was an idea I had with the blimp. Gave me an idea, and I'm like, oh, yeah. All right, I'll give that to an artist later. Back to the interview. But, sometimes I'll have that where it's like, getting back to what I think Ellie said earlier, something happens to me, just a phrase can trigger like imagination. That's true. Like, and the thing that, and I guess that's why it's frustrating. Like, for example, I had to change the name of my main character in my comic is because I had that phrase and then it built into something else. And it almost feels like I'm losing it by changing that. But it's like, no, right. Everything else is here. But right. I have to change the name of another character. I swear you guys are just seeing my just so happens most of my character names are really good, but like I'll come up with a phrase and instantly I come up with the whole character around that phrase.
Right.
Like or a whole story,
Right.
But sometimes occasionally I'll come up with a phrase that's not the one I'm gonna end up with. And then I think about like Six Gun Gorilla, I notice he has 1 gun on this. Where are the other 5 guns?
Young man, clearly you have not watched a lot of Westerns. The 6 gun refers to the fact that it has...
It's a 6-shooter. I've never heard that term before, though.
Yes.
I've heard 6-shooter, but I've never heard 6 gun.
Yeah. The Cult Peacemaker, of course, was the most famous of the bunch. That was the first pistol that you loaded with bullets as opposed to, putting a ball and cap, that kind of a thing, and the black powder and all that stuff. And it was invented actually to fight the Comanche, because the Comanche were badass motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And so they needed to build up improve the technology to fight the Comanche. Who of course they were busy genociding, unfortunately. And in this case, Kumba, that's our 6-gun gorilla. He is won in a card game by a kindly Irish circus carnival barker, totally shady guy with a heart of gold. He cheats in the game to win him from a great white hunter that wiped out his entire troop, and then they were rolling over the body of one of the females, and they find him.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, there's that Tarzan connection, right? He's discovered as an infant, and so he's brought to America and becomes a circus gorilla. And since he's growing up in the circus, and he is not raised as an animal because he's of unusual intelligence, and there's a secret there too, but I'm not going to give it away.
Okay.
And so he has to have a job, and so they're like, let's make him a trick shot artist. And so they build these gigantic hand cannons for him, pistols, 6 guns that look like they're made for a gorilla, because they are.
That's cool.
If you've ever seen a gorilla's hands, they're gigantic.
Yeah.
And so, his job is to, as a trick shot artist, so they're using catapults to launch giant beer kegs in the air, and he's blasting them. And, who wouldn't want to watch that?
That's awesome. Yeah, I would.
And then some very bad men do some very bad things to his human family. Of
course.
And he finds
can't have a living family.
Well, he does have his older sister, Abigail, who figures prominently in the story. And then there's also Giuliano Schmidt, who is a Italian-German immigrant, because I decided that I wanted one of the male heroes in this to be an immigrant, because people think of the Old West. They think that everybody was walking around talking like John Wayne. They weren't. It was a place of accents. And, immigrants for the most part. And they end up stumbling across something that is much bigger than the original plot would lead you to believe, because this takes place during the Civil War. In fact, it takes place during the last year of the Civil War. And so this basically is a story that starts out very, very small and personal, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until finally you're in like a James Bond movie with like a Zeppelin.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff, man. Like I that's what I decided to do. So with my superhero comic, like I have all these ideas that span history and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like issue 1, if you see, it's just a kid holding the crystal, because it's like, okay, yes, Phenomenova is the name of the superhero team, right? But it's still the title team does not appear in this first issue, because I decided I wanted to start small. And I remember someone told me once that in a complex world, tell a simple story, and you kind of build up to it, like the X-Men, look at how crazy their history gets.
Oh my God.
But it started off with kids at a school that wanted to learn their powers.
Yes.
And they fought a guy who used their powers for bad. And then it became, suddenly we're at like, funny this is on my, because this is a culmination of how crazy things get. Suddenly now one of them, that guy has a clone wife that looks like the other girl but isn't the other girl. Also it turns out that he was manipulated. Like when you go from like X-Men 1, admittedly I haven't read the first issue, but I know where it is.
Right.
To here, just the cover alone, you're like, okay, there's the clone of Jean. And there's the guy who was revealed to manipulate Scott's whole past. And, it's always just interesting, but it's the road that takes you there is always good.
But you've also got like 75 years in some cases for some of these books of continuity, right? And it has to keep building and it has to keep growing. It has to keep kind of keeping people on their toes. We're a little luckier in the sense that we're working on a smaller canvas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't have 500. We're not on issue 500 just yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I know. That's the thing. It's the frustrating thing. I feel like is always getting that early stuff done, but something when it forces you to focus. Like I made my issue 2 even simpler than issue 1, so that way when I get to issue 3, I'm like, now I can go crazy.
Right.
And I've written issue 3, but it's always fun. Let me see. We got Six Gun Gorilla looks really interesting though. And has anyone else done Six Gun Gorilla yet? Looks like someone else did.
Yes. Oh boy.
Is this after you?
Oh boy, there's a story. There's a story.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So like I said, you cannot find a more obscure story, right? What are the odds of somebody else doing a Six Gun Gorilla comic book at the exact same time I'm doing a Six Gun Gorilla comic book? Slim and none.
Mm-hmm.
Slim won the day.
Yeah.
My artist, Adrian Sabar, he is just about done with the pencils and the colors. And then somebody sends me an email and says, "Hey, is this your book?" And it is a story about a comic book that's coming out written by an industry professional, a guy who wrote for X-Men named Cy Spurrier. And the name of the comic book is Six Gun Gorilla.
Oh.
And I feel like killing myself. But then a friend of mine says, you know what? This could maybe actually work to your advantage. And, get your name out there, right? So Adrian hooks me up with the guy that he knows that is a reporter for Bleeding Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we have this nice interview, and I tell him the whole story. And, by the way, folks, if you ever hear from Bleeding Cool, do not talk to these people. They are sick freaks. This guy, after doing an interview with me, actually started sending me threatening messages on Facebook saying, hey, we're going to fuck you up. We're going to cancel you unless you start shutting the fuck up about SJWs. I Jedi mind tricked his ass, though. I was like, you're bullying me. And then he, apologized profusely, and I just blocked him. But what happened was Cy Spurrier decided to do a comic called Six Gun Gorilla. The gorilla doesn't show up until the very last page of the first book because it's not about a Six Gun Gorilla. And he tells everybody it's not a Western, it's a science fiction comic. And so in the interview, I go, well, I think there's room for both of our books because his is a science fiction comic. It's about a futuristic blood sport. So it's like Rollerball or The Running Man or Death Race 2000 or something like that, right? And mine's just a Western with a gorilla. And he gets butthurt and starts saying, no, mine's a Western. I'm like, well, dude, there's an interview that you did a month before that says this is not a Western. So what the fuck? And, I sent him a little message and for the, New York Comic Con was coming up. And I was like, hey, I know you're going to be there. So swing by my table. I'll give you some free comics. We'll go out for a pint or something like that. He was mad. He was not very nice.
Did he see you in person or no?
No, he never came by my table and he never answered my email.
Because he'd have to treat you like a person.
Exactly. And so then people started doing side-by-side reviews. And my comic beat his in every side-by-side review.
Nice.
Because when people buy a comic called Six Gun Gorilla, they want a fucking Six Gun Gorilla.
Right.
And the gorilla in his, first of all, doesn't show up until the last page of the first issue, and then isn't even real. He's a figment of the imagination of the hero who is a scholar on pulp literature. And so the first issue of that Six Gun Gorilla launched big. It did well. And then every other issue, 50 cent bin, right? Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine showed me a copy of that 6-gun gorilla in the 50-cent bin. And I posted it to my Facebook, and Mr. Spurrier was not very amused. But yeah, it did get me a little attention. So I'm glad I didn't just throw in the towel. I could have changed the title to Silverback or Gunslinger Gorilla, but every other title to me sounded like a Hanna-Barbera cartoon. And so I decided to stick with the original title, and it's worked out. And oh yeah, that's the other thing too. At the New York Comic Con that year, I didn't see anything. Like Boom had this giant. When you walked into like the vendors area, Boom had this big setup, and there was no 6-gun gorilla anything. But when you walked in and you turned left, you saw my big giant fucking 6-gun gorilla banner. We sold over 400 issues. We sold out of comics on day 2.
Wow.
Yeah. But I got, like I always say whenever I tell the story, I got to keep it real. One of the reasons for our success, I have to admit, was because every single other comic in Independence Alley that year was a zombie comic.
I've heard that. Yo, you were telling me that. Yeah.
And so these fools that decided, oh, zombie comics are in, so Walking Dead's big, so I'll do a zombie comic. They were stuck with something, a comic book, ultimately, that they couldn't sell, but also that even they probably didn't like. And that's why if you are going to make a comic, and I'm telling you folks, if you're thinking about making comics, make them for yourself. Make sure that you're happy with the comic, because ultimately that may be all that you're left with. And these poor fools, I just remember them just looking at each other and going, oh, shit. We fucked up. Because they played the market and they played trends. Don't follow trends. It is suicide.
No, I'm in agreement with you. I mean, my whole thing, like I got my pitch rejected. So many people kept telling me, we don't want they kept saying, make your story darker, make your story more subversive. And I was like, but that's not what I want. I want to do this. And people were like, well, that might not resonate. And I'm like, we'll see. And we still will see. It's not out yet. We'll see.
Right. Well, look, here's the thing. It has to be sincere.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And people can accuse me of any number of things. People want to call me a shitty writer. That's fine. But nobody can ever accuse me of being insincere. And I think that's the most important thing that we can do as writers and artists, is to put real sincerity into our work, because people can tell when it's there and when it's not. Don't fake the funk, because if you fake the funk, people are going to be able to tell. So always make sure that your story is something that excites you, because if you're not excited about your story, if you're not passionate about your story, nobody else is going to be either.
Exactly. There were moments, like there was a story that actually a Western that I was going to do. Don't get me wrong, I'm passionate about, but I wasn't feeling at this particular moment when I was like, I want to start with comics. I want to do Phenomenova first, but there was a Western that I think would have done better, plays to the market, but it's not, I didn't just play to the market. Right. But I was like, in this moment in time, I have the bug for this specific story. When I want to do the Western, like I wrote that one a while back. I'm going to have to rewrite or revise. I didn't finish writing it, but I wrote that when I had the bug for that. I have the bug for this one right now.
Yes.
So
yes,
I got my 10-pager done with it, but I'd love to, do the rest. And that's the thing. You have to just kind of sometimes that means, so what I hate is when I catch a bug for something and I don't have the time to write it because I'm doing something else.
Right. And you need to strike while the iron is hot, because then that passion is going to come across on the page. And you don't ever want to be phoning anything in, because like I said, people can tell.
Because I have ideas for many issues down the line. I'll write down ideas.
Yes.
There's that one day where I did a ton of writing in my head and I didn't write down the plot, but even just looking at your cover, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to get back to that. So maybe I'll write some of that.
Well, I can recommend a bunch of books when it comes to Old West research and also just the structure of Westerns themselves. There's one called Six Guns in Society in particular that I recommend. But, I mean, unlike Chuck Dixon, who, by the way, is a big Six Gun Gorilla fan, which blows my freaking mind.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And
this
Mike Barron also.
This is the first comic I worked on was this one right here by Chuck Dixon, Hunter Ninja Bear. First comic I ever worked on.
Blow that up. Blow that up. I can't see that shit.
All right. First comic I ever worked on was Hunter Ninja Bear.
Nice.
I was an editor.
Nice.
Right here, this book. I don't know if you ever read it.
No, I haven't actually. That came out when I was like a broke ass bitch. I couldn't back anything that year.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Is that still available, or is that
Yeah, you can get it. Go to phenomcomics.com.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I mean, look, to get praise from Chuck Dixon, Mike Barron, Joe R. Lansdale also absolutely love Six Gun Gorilla. It's super validating. It means the world to me that these guys took the time out to read my funny book, and then the fact that they liked it or loved it really is just such a great reward. And the response from readers, the response from backers has just been overwhelming. I can't be more grateful. It is, and that's the thing. People, treat your backers right. Treat your backers right, because they are your most precious resource. They are the ones who literally help us make our dreams come true. And this is an extension of a previous campaign, because a lot of bad shit happened to me, and a lot of bad shit happened to Preston. We both lost our homes. And it's okay. It's okay. But a lot of bad shit happened. And so the people that backed the original Indiegogo campaign are going to be getting special shit. That is to say, for instance, like one of the things I'm offering is this beautiful 3D printed. Thank you, my friend Adam Lawson, by the way, who hooked me up with the sculptor who designed this. And look at, man, the 3D printing. I remember when you used to be able to see lines and everything. Look how smooth that is.
Wow.
Yes. Thank you, my friend Simon Simpoitier, my Quebecois homie. But anyway, people who backed this ended up having to wait 2 years. And so when I finally fulfilled on this, they didn't get one of these. They got two.
Nice.
And also a personalized written apology from yours truly.
Wow.
Well, because that's the thing. I felt horrible about it. And yes, so if your book is late, throw in some extra shit, throw in some bonus stuff, throw in something collectible, because you will have fans for life. And when I see some of these folks that don't treat their backers well, that don't refund their books, I feel, I feel ashamed for our space, as it were.
Yep.
Always hook your backers up and hook them up right. Now, people that have already backed the previous campaign, they're getting the bonus shit that's on here that's available for only 24 hours, but that was 24 hours yesterday. So you only have a few more hours to get the limited edition prints. If you want to scroll to the bottom, you'll see the prints by Adam Miller and by keep going. Keep going down, homeboy. Let's see. Yeah, these are actual pages from the book. Everybody, of course, is going to get that wanted poster. Yeah, but if you back on day one, which is still today, you're going to get this limited edition print by Adam Miller. This was the trading card that he made for his like CG Legends or something, I think it was. And he told me very graciously, he's just like, you can reproduce it in any way you like, just not as a trading card. So,
okay.
And this is beautiful, right? It's so badass. And so you'll be getting a print of this. And then if you want to scroll down a little bit more, this print from Matt Slay, who did the cover for issue number 6.
That's cool.
So those are exclusives. If you don't back by like 10 o'clock tonight, I'm sorry, you ain't getting these.
It's a good sell. So this is so this campaign, we've gotten into it, but looks like it's the volume 2, but it's also the last 2 issues. So explain what are we looking at?
Okay. I have tried and previously have done campaigns. My very first campaign was for the trade paperback of the first 6 issues. Part of me was thinking, I just should have been like 1, 2, so on and so forth. But I wanted to make a big impression right out the door. And it worked, right? And my campaigns did very, very well. But then when I wanted to do the campaign for issue 7, issue 8, and so forth, I have a lot of people saying like, I'll wait for the trade paperback, for the second trade paperback. I'm like, motherfuckers, I'm not going to be able to do the volume 2 trade paperback unless you back issue 7, issue 8, so on and so forth. And so I couldn't make a campaign for issue number 9 and then issue number 10. So this is for the second of the volume 2 trade paperback. But if you're a floppy person and you've collected the floppies, you can still get floppies of issues 9 and 10.
Nice.
And
So
also,
okay. So the first 8 have been done. They're available as floppies, right? And then 9 and 10. So this covers 6 through 10 or 7 through 10?
This is covering 7 through 10.
Okay.
And so the 7th is issue 7 was the last issue that was done by my Argentinian homeboy, Adrian Sabar, who unfortunately is no longer with us. He passed away. Every victory that I've had since his passing and going forward is always going to be a little bittersweet because he's not here for it. But my homeboy Preston stepped in and absolutely killed issue number 8, and he's absolutely killing issue 9, and he's doing the pencils right now for issue 10. So I'm hoping, not to jinx myself, I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to get people their books and everything by September. Maybe even earlier, but I always like to think, well, you got to add a month or 2 for shit happens. So, well, we shall see, but it's almost done. It's almost done. And so I'm also, right now, Jason Orpheus, who is a really talented cartoonist out of the Philippines, he does a comic book called Octopus Cowboy. And it's really good. And, I thought to myself, like, this is the guy that I want. The way he draws the Old West is fantastic. He does his research and everything. And so he's currently illustrating a 14-page story I wrote about the Dandy, who is the first character that I'm introducing from the expanded Six Gun Gorilla universe. Because Six Gun Gorilla will be returning, but he's not going to be returning in his own book. He's going to be returning as part of a Weird West ensemble.
Nice.
A group of characters, including Sam Hain, the Blazing Szechuan Kid, Sledge Strode, the Phantom Vaquero, the character that's so mysterious, like nobody even knows what he looks like. Like for a picture, it's just a question mark. And also the Dandy, who is, if you guys don't know what a dandy is, think of Oscar Wilde, right? A guy that was maybe, incredibly well dressed, maybe a little bit prissy. He's from England. He's come here to the States out of necessity because of some crimes that he committed. And he is a stone killer. Very, very a guy who couldn't seem more innocuous, who was actually incredibly dangerous. And so I think that's probably because I don't have any art to show right now. I just have roughs right now, layouts. That's either going to be included as a ash can, or very likely, right now the page count for the trade paperback volume 2 is 96 pages. I'm thinking I'm probably going to throw it in the back of there. And I know that whenever I'm waiting for a book and for a long time, and then I get it and I see that it's thicker, that it has more pages, that always makes me happy. So that's probably what I'm going to do with that. But yeah, there is going to be more Six Gun Gorilla. He's just not going to be
so this is the end of this series then?
This is the end of the Long Days of Vengeance arc. And I said this on Michael Bancroft's last night, and I will repeat it. People, if you're thinking of making a comic book, look at my eyes. Don't make a 10-issue story.
Okay.
Done in 1, maybe 2, maybe 3. But don't do a fucking 10-issue arc like this idiot did.
Okay, so I'll have to do some work on mine because mine's like an 8-issue arc.
Okay, well, it's not as bad as 10 issues.
But the first issue is triple sized.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude. You can't not. Well, I mean, once again, it's like when I started out just releasing the trade paperback with the first 6 issues, like I said, I wanted to grab people. And it's hard to do that in one 24-page issue.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a little, I mean, you want to hook them in, sure. But I really wanted to grab people by the heart. And it worked. So ultimately, I think it was the right move. But I'm doing a bunch of other stuff too. I got Blood Moon Stomp that I'm doing with Adam Lawson. I was showing off some of the art for that last night, and it's by Maxi Diallo and Sean Spicer, and it looks fucking amazing. I'm doing Hell Knight with Preston Acevedo. I also wrote something for him called Nine Devils. I'm editing 3 books right now, and it's just crazy. It's like I've got imposter syndrome like a motherfucker. I'm just kind of like, I think I've tricked everybody into like thinking that I know what I'm doing. But people like to look. People like my work, so I can't be more grateful.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yes. Oh, and thanks to my friend Vaughn for the brand spanking new trailer, by the way.
You did another trailer?
Yes, because
nice.
Yes, and I forgot to get Michael Bancroft to play that last night. Could you do me a solid and play that if it's not a bother?
Yeah.
I'm not telling you what to do, young man. I'm not coming on your stream and bossing you around.
No. It's good.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Mike.
That was a great trailer.
Thanks, man. Thanks. No, it is. It turned out great. Thank you, Vaughn. And I should also mention that there is a live campaign now on Indiegogo, but you can only get the trade paperbacks there. If you want the cool shit, you want the fly shit, you got to go to fundmycomic.com. And I got to salute you, Vaughn, for launching on Fund My Comic, because Luke, when he built this site, I was one of the naysayers, not publicly, right? Because you don't want to discourage people or anything like that.
Right.
But in the back rooms, we would talk like, do you think this is going to work? And my answer was no. I think it's going to fail, and we should try and put everything we can behind it, right? Because we have to at least try.
Yeah.
Right? Luke built the canoe. We need to grab an oar. And I am so happy to eat my hat. That crow that I'm eating is so tasty because the site is taking off. It's working. And fuck Indiegogo. They never shadow ban me, but they shadow ban my friends. And we need to disinvest. By all means, we should be using every platform, because every platform has a different audience, right?
A lot of people in person have told me that they're not back, and I'm like, why aren't you going to Fund My Comic? And they're like, it's just their credit card information's on Indiegogo. I'm like, all right.
It's, you know what it's
convenient.
It's laziness, and I get it because I'm the same fucking way.
Yeah, I'm the same way with YouTube. Like, listen, YouTube censors people all the time, but I still primarily use YouTube.
Right. Well, I mean, it's so easy to create an account at fundmycomic.com. And remember, you're supporting indie comics to the core. And why should we be giving our money to people that hate us? Right?
Yeah.
Indiegogo could give a rat's ass about us. Kickstarter doesn't even know we exist for the most part. By all means, we should be using every platform, because every platform has a different audience, right? Facebook people tend to be Kickstarter people. Twitter people tend to be Indiegogo people, and so forth. But that's why
most people are Kickstarter people, to be honest.
Yes.
Even conventions too. Like I work at, like, I'll hang out at Billy Tucci's table. The most people that come up to him in person will say, "I back Kickstarter." Even when people are referring, they'll be like, "Vaughn, you have your Kickstarter." It's on Fund My Comic. Oh, I just say Kickstarter. It's like that. Right. It's just a term they use.
Yeah. It's like Kleenex or it's or Google. Yeah. Right.
They made me do that on they made me do that. I had to do that with Andy Smith's campaign once. Andy Smith, I was backing like to get like everything on his campaign. And then it charged me with like an insane 20% tip. And I'm like, Andy, just letting you know, I refunded because
I've done that too.
I hate that. But it happens.
It's so shady. It's so fucking shifty.
And I wouldn't mind
you not paying attention. And they're just sticking their hand in your fucking wallet. It's so fucking shady. And it's so dishonest. And we need to disinvest. I mean, by all means, we need to put our shit on there, but that's why the Indiegogo campaign for this is bare bones. All the cool shit, all the fly shit, all the exclusive shit is here on Fund My Comic.
Yeah, I decided I made like basically copy pasted a lot of what I have, except the mini print is for free on Fund My Comic with your order. Because Fund My Comic also takes a smaller percent. Like, there's no reason not to set one up. And people are like, "Oh, you're bringing your own audience there." I'm like, good.
Exactly.
Good.
Exactly. And that's why my friend Clint Stoker
on the front page of Indiegogo. God no. But let me go to the Fund My Comic homepage right now. 1 second.
Exactly. And so everybody, back on Fund My
It's your boy. It's your boy right here.
Shaboy.
Yeah.
Shaboygan.
There we go.
Yeah. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
On that.
Yeah, a lot of people told me that I would not succeed. They were wrong.
You need those people.
Yeah.
You need those people, though. You need those people to tell you that you can't do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, honestly, Fun My Comic has been great. You know,
Luke.
yeah, Luke has been great.
Oh, and also, can I point out there is an exclusive Fun My Comic cover for the Volume 2 trade paperback by my boy John Dillard.
Which one is that?
Scroll up. There we go. There it is.
Ooh,
right there.
They're both pretty.
Aren't they great? They're both pretty, which is why you need to get them both. And there's a cover for issue 10. That's by my homeboy, my Quebecois homeboy, Simon Simpoitier. Same guy that produced the miniature.
Nice.
Yeah,
I love the look of this book too. It looks great. Yeah, Dillard's his art is good. He's really good.
The Fallen Cowboy. Now the question is, it's like what's going to kill him? Is it the hole in his chest or is it the fall? I say he's already dead, right?
Yeah, because he's already dead. That's a
got
massive hole in his chest.
He has a hole in his chest big enough to put your arm through, right? Where his heart was, there's a giant hole.
Oh yeah, everyone likes the
cover.
Dillard.
Yes, Lawson.
Will it have the trade dressing on it?
I'm sorry?
Like, will it have the logo and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Same thing also for the these are not going to be virgin covers. I am thinking about doing an artist edition for issues 8 through 10 though, because whenever I get pencils from my boy Preston, they're so beautiful. I'm always like, can we just print it like this? Let me see if I can show this off real quick. Preston sends me a lot of original art because that's my boy. I mean, look at these pencils. They're freaking gorgeous. They're just beautiful. I asked him for like this angry face, and he gave it to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I might want to do a black and white edition because I'm a black and white stan. I originally wanted to do Six Gun in black and white, but that was back when you couldn't really do black and white comics. And in retrospect, I was right to do it in color, but will there be a black and white edition at some point, or just Preston's gorgeous pencils? Yeah, most.
Yeah, I was looking at. There was one page in particular of my book I was looking at. And don't get me wrong, it looks great color, but I'm like,
right?
And so I would love to do, if people want it, I would love to do a black and white version of Phenomenova issue 1.
Look, here's the thing that's great about our audience, right? They're book people.
Yeah.
They want something in their hands. They're not digital people. They want this. They want something they can hold in their hand, something they can smell. I was very relieved when I discovered that I'm not the only book sniffer in the world.
Yeah.
I thought that was a weird thing. And then I discovered that most book people are also book sniffers. It's the tactile experience, right? Mm-hmm. And nothing's ever going to match that. And then, of course, people love collectibles and that sort of a thing. I try not to go crazy with like the variant covers and that sort of a thing, but it's not like we're forcing people to buy them. And if people want that stuff, it'd be wrong for us not to give it to them. But yes, thank you, Dillard, for. I mean, I like to bust his balls a lot. I was like, I gave him good money, and he gave me this crayon drawing that looks like it was done by his daughter. But yeah, no, he killed this. He's a really talent. He's a real talent and a great guy. And that's the other thing too. I gotta give props to all the artists that I've worked with. All the people that I've worked with have just been fantastic. I've just been so damn lucky. Sniffing.
Hulk 340 is a good one. It's a good cover. Well, I remember reading that. Yeah, I read that out of context because it's kind of a Fall of the Mutants tie-in, so that's why I read that issue.
Ah,
but I want to read that whole run.
Is that a Peter David's run?
Peter David's run, yeah.
Oh man,
it's a McFarlane issue.
Oh, the Immortal Hulk. If you haven't read the Immortal Hulk, that's fucking fantastic.
Is it good? I heard that one was a good one.
It's a horror comic. And it's like the Hulk can't die. And one issue opens and they've chopped the Hulk into bits. And they've got his pieces stored in like formaldehyde in these jars, including one with his head. And his head's just sitting in there just looking fucking pissed off and understandably angry. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Yeah. Like a balls out horror comic. Like in terms of like mainstream stuff that's come out like in the last 5 years, that's like way up there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. I've been told that was one of the recent good ones.
Oh, fantastic! Great shit.
Yeah, this book looks great, man. I definitely, I think I might get the day. I did the day one print thing too, or no, I didn't do a day one print. I did day one trading card. Which I think I'm going to continue doing. But these prints are gorgeous too.
Thanks, man. Oh, yeah. And I should say also the 6 a.m. sticker, that was on a previous campaign. I'm offering it again because it came out way too fucking small. And I warned people too. It's just like, make sure you order the sticker kind of big. So that's going to be, a nice, substantial sized sticker this time.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, brother.
Of course.
I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. Everyone make sure to back this book. It's going to be great. And people were also telling me, they're like, oh, Vaughn, like you need to go on your Indiegogo, like promote. I'm like, no, I just like, look, the people who know about it, I feel like that are only going to back an Indiegogo, they know it exists. Yes. Now's your chance to, that's why it's there. It's there just to basically, well, there it is. Get it?
Yes.
That's it. I'm promoting all my efforts into Kickstarter and Fund My Comic. I wasn't even going to do it in Indiegogo until people told me, yeah, some people, I'm like, would you buy it on the Indiegogo? They're like, yeah. I'm like, your entire ability to give me money is dependent. I'm like,
yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So, all right. For you, for the customer's always right. Okay.
Exactly. So it's like, we're not saying don't back it on Indiegogo.
Yeah. I'm not anti Indiegogo necessarily.
Please.
I just
back it on Fund My Comic.
Yeah. If not, that's fine. But I would definitely look. Fund My Comic's my preference, but the customer is going to do what they want, and that's fine. That's fine.
We are here to cater to them, and like I said, we owe them everything.
Right for yourself, but create for them, if that makes sense, or like market.
Yes. Vishizi.
Make it, But anyway, thank you so much for coming on. I might have another interview tomorrow. If not, we'll see. I might be playing some video games tonight. Yeah, creators get more of the funds with Fund My Comic. Yeah, there's a million reasons to do Fund My Comic. Luke Stone. If I have an issue with the site or a question with the site, Luke Stone is right there.
Yes.
I don't know if I'll have that. I haven't gone anywhere else, but I can't imagine that I could just mess Mr. Kickstarter, Mr. I can't imagine, But,
no way. You get one-on-one customer service with Luke. He's doing a absolutely fantastic, bang-up fucking job. So everybody, if you can back there, and you can, please back at fundmycomic.com. But if you're like me, and I get it, if you're a lazy motherfucker and you just want to just go to Indiegogo, you can go there too. But you're not going to get the Fly exclusive shit.
Yeah, same with me. All right. So anyway, thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day. I got some work to do, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. And check out the trailer for my comic as we head out. When the whole world was dragged into World War III, brave men like my father fought on the front lines, and they weren't alone. That was 20 years ago. Now it's up to us to carry on their legacy.
And every so often, the earth from which we come gives way for something new, something greater to be born. And with them, even greater threats to face. Bring it on! Phenomenova. For you, Dad. For you.